Hello and welcome to episode 2 of View from the Sideline podcast. I'm Chris and Rich is here as always.
Hi Chris, coming to you this week from Lille. The podcast is reaching its arm across Europe already and it's only episode 2. So I'm an hour ahead of you.
So just to start off, I just wanted to say a big thanks to everyone who listened to last week's podcast. We managed to get just under 150 views on YouTube. So a big thanks to everyone else who liked, shared, followed and subscribed over our social networks. And Rich is going to go through what's happening this week.
Yep, so this week it's Chris's turn to do the weekly teaser. I'm pretty sure my answer won't be Neil Warnock pole vaulting, but we'll wait and see what the question is. Then we're going to go through the weekend review of the matches just gone, up until last night's game, the Spurs game last night. Then we've got a new feature for this episode. You may have seen it on the Facebook page. So the topic of discussion for today that Chris and I will go through is the apparent need for teams like Spurs and Liverpool to win trophies. There's a lot about that in the press. Our weekly prediction comes back this week. We're not going to go through all the details. They have been posted on Facebook and they are on Twitter as well. The guest predictor this week is my brother Chris. So that should be mildly competitive. And then after that, we'll just summarise episode 2. Just reiterate the ways you can get in touch and see what we're doing next week.
Okay, so this week's weekly teaser for you, Rich.
I'm going to write this down, Chris.
So, the teaser is: which player has won the FA Cup at Old Wembley, New Wembley and the Millennium Stadium?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you're going to have to think back a little bit there.
FA Cup, yeah?
Yeah, so it's the FA Cup, Old, New Wembley and the Millennium Stadium.
Okay, leave that with me and I'll come back to you.
So we will come back to the reveal of the teaser towards the end of the podcast. And we'll go through this weekend's games. So, Rich, do you want to kick off?
Yeah, I think there's only one place to start, Chris, to be honest with you, and that's last night's game at Old Trafford, where Spurs got a 3-0 win against a supposedly under par Man United side. I've got to be honest, I watched the game and I would say it's probably the best Spurs performance I've seen since we turned your boys over at the Bridge last year. I just thought the first half, Lukaku should have scored. How he missed that, I'm not too sure, but we kind of lost one of our lives there. But the way Spurs dealt with United in the first half, and then as soon as they got the goal, they just looked in complete control. And to be honest with you, I didn't really think United offered that much.
Second half, they definitely were not in the game at all. First half I thought was quite good. It was end to end. But Lucas Moura, I have to say, probably stole the show for Spurs last night, especially with his third goal. Just the pace on itself when he got round Smalling was frightening, really.
It was definitely a man of the match performance. But one thing I'd say about that game is if you think back to a couple of weeks ago, and it could still happen because the European window's still open, but all the rumours were that Danny Rose, Alderweireld and Dembele were going to leave Spurs. Rose still might, apparently, from what I'm reading. But all three of them started last night and all three of them were unbelievable.
Pretty good game.
They all had such a good game.
Definitely.
And I just hope that none of them leave, because I just think it just makes Spurs' squad that much stronger. And with no signings coming in, that wouldn't be such a bad thing if we managed to keep hold of those three, especially those three.
Yeah. obviously Mourinho walking out again of another press conference after the game, so that was obviously all over the back pages about his struggles at Man United. But
he does make a good point. So he said that he's won more Premier League titles than the other 19 managers put together.
that is true.
Which is true, but yeah, he's just throwing his toys out of the pram a bit. But thoroughly deserved win for Spurs, I think. 3 wins out of 3. Not many teams will go to Old Trafford and get a result like that. So yeah, good result.
So next, the Wolves-Man City game, which was the early kickoff on Saturday. Obviously, quite a surprise result for Wolves. Obviously, with the way that Manchester City can play and break teams down. But Wolves defending really, really well. Man City having over 70% possession and only managing to score 1 goal, 18 shots. So to keep Aguero quiet, you must be doing something right at the back.
Yeah, agreed. Bit of a dodgy goal, to be fair.
The goal was slightly controversial in the fact that obviously it was definitely hit his hand, but referee and linesman clearly obviously didn't see it. So,
well, there's just a bit of a caveat to that. So I've been reading some stuff this morning, and it'd be really interesting to have a bit more of a look into it. But apparently, it's a legal goal. Now, there's lots of ins and outs with regards to rules about, because he's not stopping the ball going into his own net for like a penalty. Apparently, there's a clause in one of the rules which states that it is a legal goal. I think we need to read a bit more about that.
I think we're going to have to research that a little bit because that seems crazy.
I listened to it, and there was a guy on the radio who had he was a ref in his local leagues or something, and he literally had the rule book in front of him, and he was quoting the rules. But I need to have a look at it really.
Cool.
From what I would say, it was handball.
So the Arsenal-West Ham game, Arsenal winning that one by 3-1. West Ham, the first time they've lost their first 3 games since 2010. Obviously, new manager, quite a few new players, just don't seem to be able to play with each other very well. But overall, probably a good result for Arsenal, even though, to be honest, they didn't defend very well. They didn't really generally play that well either. But a good result for them.
Yeah, agree. Ozil was the interesting one there, I think.
He was left out, wasn't he?
Yeah, apparently he didn't play because of illness, but I'm not sure whether that's true.
I've heard that there was something to do with a training ground bust up between him and the new manager.
Well, watch this space on that one, I think.
Bournemouth and Everton 2-2. Obviously, a lot of talking points in this one. Obviously, the first one is Richarlison, obviously having a very good start to the season, and then letting his team down slightly by obviously going head to head with one of the Bournemouth players.
Yeah, I think that's a definite sending off, though.
Yeah.
But the most frustrating thing, because I see today he's been called up to the Brazil squad. Yeah. And it's just, like you say, he's had such a good start to the season, but it's just such a stupid thing to do. You just can't do that. You almost know that he knows as soon as he's done it that he's going to get a red card for it. And not only is it sort of, it affects that match, but then obviously he's suspended for 3 games for a straight red. And it's just so unnecessary. And like you say, especially because he's had such a good start to the season.
Yeah.
But for me, it's in complete contrast for the Bournemouth one. I don't see how that was a red card.
So this is where Walcott got through on goal, didn't he? And
yeah.
It was Smith, wasn't it? He was chasing him.
Yeah,
but is the referee taking into account Walcott's pace in this? That he knows that he probably will get away from him, or
possibly. But
yeah,
you've got 2 defenders. Yeah, Walcott's quick, but you've got 2 defenders coming in as well on sort of the angle of the D of the penalty area, and it almost looks as though they're just going to cut him off. Yeah, he's quick, but I'm not convinced that's a clear goal scoring opportunity. So I would say it's a bit harsh, that
No.
one. I would have said a yellow would have been fine.
Good game all round though, 2-2. Huddersfield Cardiff, unfortunately, not a great deal from this game other than the red card.
A definite red and a
yeah.
good point for Cardiff. That's my summary.
Yeah.
Let's
No
move
goals
on.
again for Cardiff, but another draw against two teams that we've picked to go down as well. So
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a better point for Cardiff than it is for Huddersfield, that one.
Saints Leicester, 2-1 to Leicester in that one. Another red card in this one. Obviously when it was 1-1. So he's obviously already been booked, and then he's decided to run into the box, and to me it was a clear dive. I've seen loads of replays on this as well, and it's so bad.
It was awfully bad. It was Neymar-esque, I would say. It's so disappointing. It's so disappointing to see a professional footballer do that, especially when he's already on a yellow.
How in his mind? Why is it not in his mind that he's already been booked? I do not know. And obviously, the goal at the end, Harry Maguire's goal, not a goal that you normally see from a defender.
No, I've got to say, this is one that I picked this one in the predictions too.
Yeah,
so I've got to throw that in there.
Just add that one in. Liverpool Brighton, 1-0 to Liverpool. Again, not really too much to take away from this game, other than that Liverpool still have not conceded a goal in the Premier League. And obviously Brighton coming back. A 1-0 defeat at Anfield is probably not, to them, isn't going to matter too much.
It's not that bad a result for Brighton, really, but it was very routine. I don't think Liverpool ever looked that much in danger. That they got a goal, and that was kind of it, really. I probably expected it to be 3 or 4, but they won another clean sheet, like you say. I think Brighton would be quite glad to get United and Liverpool out of the way.
So Watford Palace, another 3 points for Watford. It's 3 out of 3 for them as well. Pretty routine for Watford. It wasn't an real entertaining game. Obviously there was a good goal. Well,
I thought Capoue was lucky not to get sent off. I think his challenge was a bit. It was a bit nasty. I think he left it in.
He definitely left it in there.
I think
it was Zaha, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit. I think he was a bit lucky to stay on there. But that's a close game. I think it's two teams that will do all right this year.
Yeah.
But my thought on that one, Chris, and I'm going to throw a fact in now for you, an early fact.
Here we go.
That Zaha is now Crystal Palace's top Premier League scorer of all time, and I'm not totally sure who he's up against in that sort of competition.
They don't score that many goals, do they?
Because apart from the guy who takes their penalties and Benteke, when he used to score, I'm not too sure who he's up against. But I look at Palace's team sheet and I do wonder what would happen if Zaha didn't play for them, or if they'd sold him. I think they'd struggle. He got another goal in that game, but yeah, that's my only thing. But Watford are looking good, 3 out of 3.
3 out of 3.
Yeah.
So Fulham, 4-2 winners against Burnley. A good win for Fulham. A few things from this one. Obviously, with Burnley being in the Europa League, is that affecting them? Obviously, they're not used to be playing maybe 2 matches a week. Could be partly down to it. And Joe Hart in goal. He's under a lot of criticism the past seasons, and he's not really having a great start to this season either.
But you say that, but didn't he in his first 3 games have 3 clean sheets in a row? 2 of them were in the Europa League, I think, and then they played Saints first game of the season. But he had 3 clean sheets in a row. So I don't. I mean, Burnley, they've got 3 England international goalkeepers.
That's what I was going to say. What's up with
So
is the guy that went to the World Cup? Is he injured or
yeah, I
is
think
he?
he is because
Is
I think Heaton's on the bench. So yeah,
okay.
I think he may be,
Okay. Well,
but
that
yeah, I'm
one.
not sure. But I do agree with you. I think that the Europa League for Burnley, I think, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be a massive upset if they go out. They're 3-1 down from the first leg.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the end of the world. But from a Fulham perspective, Mitrovic
Good
scored against
signing.
Spurs last week, and 2 this week. I like him. I think he's a good player.
Good player, and
I'm
they've got.
surprised Newcastle let him go, to be honest, but he'll do well there.
Well,
Although I've tipped them to go down.
speaking of Newcastle, the last game to review is the Newcastle Chelsea game. A good 3 points for Chelsea. Not a great game. It was very one-sided towards Chelsea. Newcastle were very defensive.
I think Chelsea had something like 81%
It was
possession or
ridiculous the amount of
something
possession.
silly like that.
But obviously, the penalty from Alonso. I think this is one that some will say it's probably not a penalty. Some will say it is. For me, he's gone in behind. And for me, although
I think he got the ball.
he's
I
won the
think
ball,
it's
but he's gone through the player as well. For
yeah. I
me,
think it's one of those. If your team gets it, it's a stonewall penalty. If they
and
don't, it's the worst decision ever.
the build up to the Newcastle goal, there was a suspected elbow from their defender on Giroud. I don't know if you've seen this, but it definitely looks like that he elbows Giroud. Obviously, he plays on this score a goal,
I
but
just think Giroud needs to man up, to be honest.
I'm not bitter about it. But I don't think that should have been a goal. So anyway,
It's
that
a
was
man's
the
game.
that was the weekend review. I will hand over to Rich now. Who's going to talk about the topic of the week.
Yes, so this is something that almost plays on my mind whenever I read or listen or watch anything about football. And it's something that seemed to be everywhere in the close season, like when the transfer window was still open. But in a nutshell, it is, why is there such pressure on teams like Spurs, like Liverpool, to win a trophy? There's always been a debate about what is worth more to a football team, so to win a trophy or finishing in the top 4. And I'm just going to throw some stats at you, Chris, as if you didn't know this was coming. So just to use Spurs as an example, right? So Pochettino has the second highest win percentage of any Spurs manager. Okay, the only person that's got a better win percentage than him is Frank Brettel, who was the Spurs manager in 1898 and was manager for 63 games. So to me, that speaks volumes. So he's got a win percentage of just under 56% from
Right.
211 games.
Okay.
So just digest that stat for a moment.
Yes, but
And then
go on. Yeah.
when he took over, the first year Spurs finished 5th. Then they finished 3rd the next season, then 2nd, and then 3rd again. Plus FA Cup semi-finals, latter stages of Europa League, last 16 of the Champions League. And the average league position of Spurs over the 10 years before Pochettino came was 6th. And he's finishing 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, and having runs in competitions. And Spurs as a net spend is something like 50 million. When you look at City and United, theirs is upwards of 400 million. So the question I've got is is the progression that these managers are making and the development of players, because only one team can win a cup, only one team can win the league. So I don't feel that any manager for teams like that should be under any pressure to win a trophy, otherwise they're in trouble.
Do you think the pressure comes from the fans rather than, say, the board of directors who
I
manage
don't,
Pochettino?
I don't necessarily think it comes from the board, because what Ed Woodward said about United, about he doesn't mind about what they're like on the pitch as long as they're winning money, as long as they're making money.
Yeah,
I think Premier League clubs will always make a profit, that they will always make money. But so I don't necessarily think the pressure's coming from the top down. And as a Spurs fan, I'm just enjoying Spurs being competitive and not being 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go and
but
losing 2-1.
but
But if
surely, as a fan, you would want them to win something, because I've
Of
got
course
here
I
that the
do, of
last
course
the
I
last
do.
thing that they won was in 2008, and that was a League
Yeah,
Cup.
of course I want them to win something, but I don't think that Pochettino should go or be under undue pressure if he
No,
doesn't. I
no.
think I think the same about Liverpool. I think Liverpool's probably slightly different because they've spent a lot of
See,
money this summer,
that's
but they've spent it well. But realistically, that they are probably the closest challengers to City. But if they don't win the league, is Klopp under pressure? Is
I
he going to
was
lose his job?
I was literally about to say that, because I've got, obviously,
Surely he can't be.
I reckon if they don't win a trophy this season, I reckon that they would seriously consider whether they've hired the right person, because you look
Uh,
at the
uh,
players that he's had at his disposal. He's probably got probably the second best team in the league on paper when you look at the players that they've got. But
yeah,
and you look at the players that they've had in the last 5, 6 seasons. They've had
yeah,
Suarez, Gerrard, Coutinho, two of which went on to win major trophies at probably the biggest club in the world.
but
But
but my argument to that would be that Klopp hasn't had those players.
no, he
Klopp
hasn't
hasn't
necessarily
had
had those players,
Suarez.
but he's had money.
Yeah, he has had money. I agree with that, but I can't see who they would replace him with.
So using
Who out there is better than him?
yeah, I know
I
yeah.
think look at Chelsea last year, Chris. So you finished what, 14th in the league, or somewhere far down that I couldn't see Chelsea in the
I
table.
think that's a bit of an over exaggeration. 14,
I
right?
couldn't see them. I couldn't. They were that far down. I couldn't see them.
Yeah,
But you won the FA Cup.
yeah,
Now, as a Chelsea fan,
yeah.
are you happy that you won the FA Cup, but this year you're in the
So
Europa League?
the way
Would you not swap that FA Cup victory to get into the Champions League?
it's a good question, and it does it does obviously it's a trophy at the end of the day, which is nice to have, but obviously winning the Champions League, obviously probably the biggest trophy you can win probably as a club. I would say you probably would take fourth over a cup, but saying that, we won the league the year before, so can I really complain?
And
I
no, probably not. But I'm not saying that Spurs will win the Champions League or
no.
they're going to be anywhere near winning the Champions League. But I almost feel that it's a roundabout, that you need to be involved in that competition with the financial rewards that it brings, etc., to then attract the best players that's going to give you the best chance of
So
winning the league. But I feel quite protective of Pochettino, that
yeah,
I would be really upset if he was sacked purely because he didn't win a trophy.
I
And I think Liverpool fans would probably feel the same, because realistically, who is out there that is any better? Who are you going to go and get?
Yeah.
Zidane maybe at the moment, but that's because of what happened in the summer with Madrid.
But with Pochettino, I think that he's almost got a get out of jail free card with Tottenham, because he has progressed the team. There's no denying that. Obviously, like you said earlier, the league positions, you have gone up in the table and stayed around that position. I don't think they'd ever sack him. It's whether he would leave to go to the likes of Barcelona or Real Madrid. But
I would feel more comfortable with him leaving.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want him to leave. But I'd feel more comfortable with him leaving than him being sacked.
So
because of that.
Both clubs. So you've said Liverpool and Tottenham as an example, but both clubs have had good-ish chances to win the league over the last 5-6 seasons. You had Liverpool back in the 13-14 season, 5 points clear with 3 games to go, and still didn't end up winning the league.
Who was that? Brendan Rodgers.
That was Rodgers.
He was always going to mess up.
That was the Gerrard slip incident where they lost to Chelsea, and then they lost. I think they lost to Palace as well, didn't they? They were 2-0 up and then ended up losing 3-2, I think. But then they should have won the league that year. And going on to Tottenham now, obviously a couple of seasons ago when Leicester won the league, they did have a chance to win the league.
Yeah, they should have won it that year.
Yeah, that was their best chance.
But that was a fluke season, which I probably don't think
we'll
crazy see again.
Yeah, that was their best chance, I think, that they had. But I honestly think that Tottenham will win a trophy. If not this season, next season. I reckon they'll win a trophy before Liverpool will.
Well, there is a rumour that's why there's such a delay on the new stadium being finished, because the trophy cabinet's so large. It's causing health and safety issues.
I heard that they hadn't planned to make one, and then they panicked and thought that they would need one, just to collect some dust for the next few seasons.
You wait till it's finished. Not only will it be the best club ground in London, but probably the country.
I've seen some pictures of it looking like a toilet seat, so we'll leave it at that. But I would say that the pressure for trophies, I would say, comes from fans, not at board level.
I'd agree with you, but I don't think it's fair criticism, or I don't think it's fair pressure.
No.
But it's something that I think everybody's going to have their own views on it, because, like you say, if it's coming from fans, there'll be fans out there that completely disagree with what I'm saying or what you're saying. So if anyone's got any views on it, you can just drop us a line on Twitter or Facebook or via email, and it'd be interesting to get another view on that topic. But that was mine for this week, Chris, because it's something that I just feel I needed to get off my chest.
And if anyone's got some topics that they would like us to discuss, feel free to add them to one of our social media pages, which I'll give out at the end. Obviously, we're keen to get people involved and discuss the things that you guys are all thinking about. So so that was this week's weekly topic. So now, Rich, have you had a think about the teaser that I gave you at the start of the podcast, which was the player that has won the FA Cup at Old, New Wembley and the Millennium Stadium?
Yes, I've got an answer written down, but I'm now thinking that he didn't win it at the Old Wembley.
Is it Neil Warnock?
Neil Warnock.
It's not Neil Warnock.
No, but he's won plenty of. I expect he's won a playoff final at all 3 of those venues.
Probably.
I'm going to go with my first instinct, but
so
I'm now pretty confident it's wrong.
Who did he play for?
When he won the cup?
When he won yeah.
No, I'm wrong. I've put Michael Owen.
It wasn't Michael Owen.
because I don't think Liverpool have won it at the new. Well, he wouldn't have played at the new Wembley, would he?
So the actual answer is Patrick Vieira.
That's a good shout, Chris.
So yeah, that was this week's teaser.
That's a good one.
I did a lot of research. I needed to find one that I knew that you probably wouldn't get.
No, that's a good one, Chris. I'm going to get you back next week.
But yeah, next week Rich will be doing the teaser next week. So yeah, that is really pretty much everything for this week. So next week's podcast will drop on the 5th of September. Like I said, please get in touch with us if you've got any topics that you want us to discuss. You can do that through our Facebook channel, which is View from the Sideline, or tweet us at VFTSL Podcast, or you can email us at viewfromthesideline@hotmail.com, and go to our YouTube page, which is View from the Sideline Podcast. You can just search it at the bar and it'll be like the top one that comes up. And if you're on there, if you just drop it a like and subscribe, that would be great. But that is about it from me. Rich, have you got anything to add?
Only the predictions. So as we said, they're on Facebook for this week. I think my brother would get upset if I didn't mention him. So yeah, so he's our guest predictor this week. But again, to echo what Chris said, if anyone's interested in getting involved in the predictions, just drop us a line and we can get you involved. Obviously, the first round last week with Lewis, so the scores for that one are on Facebook and Twitter as well. So yeah, just keep an eye out.
Cool. Well, that is everything then. So hopefully you'll all be listening to this podcast, and I will see you next week.